Here it's story time. All right, the kickoff is at 7:10 on Friday night at UCLA, 8:10 Mountain Time. This is the first regular season meeting between UCLA and UNM. They played one other time. That was the 2002 Las Vegas Bowl. It was on Christmas Day. That is a very historic game because that was the first game where a female played in a bowl game and an FBS game and against a Power 5 game. This is not UNM's first game in the Rose Bowl. In 1929, New Mexico became the first team to fly to a game. It was in 1929. UNM flew half the team. This is on page 12, by the way. UNM flew half the team to Pasadena. They played Occidental College. The other half of the team took a train. It was the first ever night game in UNM history. The Lobos apparently could not see the ball well and had a lot of fumbles and there were some issues. They lost the game 26-0. On the way back, the kids that rode on the train flew back to Albuquerque. The ones that flew drove on the train back home. But that was the first ever night game in UNM history. And the only other time we played in the Rose Bowl, it was 96 years ago. Little story time for you, Coach.
That's a bad loss to Occidental College. I don't want anybody asking me to apologize beating Idaho State by 10. That's a bad loss to Occidental. So,
just saying.
That's a bad loss.
It's a night game. They weren't used to it. Should have used a white football or something.
It was good to get our first win the other day against Idaho State. I think there were some positives, but certainly a lot of things that we can improve on. We got to get ready for a UCLA team that's not off to the start. I know they wanted to be in 0-2, but they're still a very talented player. You look at their quarterback Nico. Played in the CFP last year, led Tennessee to a great season. I mean, he's an amazing talent, both as a thrower and a runner. They just have a lot of really good players. They're really big up front. I think these D tackles are going to be a problem for us. Smith and Williams are big guys, tough to get movement on. So we got to take a step up. We got to play our best football game this week, but we're excited to get out to go play in historic venue, the Rose Bowl. Some great history there. Also got good exposure. I think when you're playing on Friday nights, there's a lot of eyes on you because there's not as many games on. So great opportunity for our team, and we're gonna have a great week of practice. Thought we practiced well yesterday. Our schedules adjusted a little bit for the short week. Today will be our main work day, and go give these guys our best shot Friday night.
Your last college game was at the Rose Bowl, right?
It was. My last one as a player, and I've been there 3 times before. So January 1st of 99, which is my senior year in college. I didn't play in the game. I warmed up for the game. And then January 1st, 2000 was my first year in coaching. I thought this coaching thing was pretty easy. The first year you go to the Rose Bowl. I got fooled. And then when I was a grad assistant at Colorado, we had a regular season game out there and beat them. So we were 3-0, won all 3 of those games. Never been there for a night game before, so kind of interested in that, even though the Rose Bowl gets dark by the end of the game because of when time of year it is. So
I think you said in the past that that experience kind of playing in the Rose Bowl and being there a part of the team kind of helps solidify your decision to go into coaching in the end. Is there kind of something sentimental about going back at this point in your coaching career?
Not really. Just another game. Good opportunity. We're fortunate to have another opportunity to play a Big Ten opponent, and I think these are neat things for our players and coaches. These are games that give you a lot of opportunity. Don't have much to lose and have a lot to gain, so fun to get another shot at it.
You touched on Nico, obviously. I mean, the talent that he is, both running and throwing. I mean, where does he present kind of the biggest problems for you guys?
I think both. I mean, he does a great job. He's got a really strong arm. He's really accurate. His RPO game is really good. But he's also a good runner. I mean, they like to use him in short yardage. He'll pull the zone reads. They had a nice design, quarterback G lead for him last week in the red zone against UNLV. He's really big. I got to see him work out when he was in high school at a showcase at Mater Dei, and he's really, really big. He's tall. He's an impressive looking dude. So he's really similar to Michigan's quarterback, probably size-wise, maybe a little skinnier, but just as tall and a lot more experience. He's played a lot more football. So very, very concerned about him and trying to do a good job with them. And, I think their O-line is they're big. They're good technicians. I think they have good technique. I think they're strong on the line of scrimmage, long tight ends. A lot of team speed, which will be a battle for us in special teams. So it's going to be a challenge, but an exciting opportunity.
Going back to, just the venue itself, I mean, just the fact that like school's not in session yet, it's a regular season game in September. Do you feel like this has that type of magnitude that it is the Rose Bowl?
Yeah, they haven't, being there for a regular season game was a lot different than being there for the Rose Bowl, in the games I've been there in the past. And it's been a long time, it's been over 20 years since I've been there, but, just they don't regularly sell out their home games. The Rose Bowl is different because it's a very split crowd. So it got loud at times, but it wasn't like a Michigan or something or Oregon where it's 95% of the fans are rooting for one team. So we're not too worried about noise or anything this week. We are going to go to the stadium a little early on Friday just to get the awe factor and look around things. But again, I don't think like crowd noise will be as much of a factor as it was in the Michigan game.
So, I mean, against Michigan, you prepare for Bryce Underwood. You expected like a lot of quick passes, check down, stuff like that. That's how Idaho State played you last week. 2 weeks preparing for teams like that. Is it weird kind of switching to a different style of team this week?
Yeah, I think, we have a little bit more sample size now, obviously, having 2 games and the quarterback coming back. Idaho State, I think, was definitely, tweaked their game plan last week and did a good job of using Harsin as a runner to keep us off balance and move the chains. I think we have a pretty good idea of who they want to be, at UCLA, though, when you've lost your first 2 games, they might have some new wrinkles that they bring in, but we're excited for the opportunity.
Coach, 12 games doesn't give you a lot of time to establish your identity, but do you think after 2 games you've started to show people what this team is going to be about?
Yeah, I think we're a tough team. We'll respond to adversity. I think we're a disciplined team. I think we got to continue to get better at running the ball and stopping the run. I thought I was very impressed. Just our red zone, I thought, was the difference in the game last week. We played very good red zone offense and very good red zone defense. We each had 4 trips to the red zone in the game. I think we scored 25 points in those 4 trips, and they scored 12 in those 4 trips, and that ends up being more than the difference in the game. So I do think we're on our way. Last week was more of who we want to be identity-wise, just with running the ball a lot more than we were passing the ball and using our backs. Still getting our tight end involved. Want to get a little bit more pressure on the quarterback. I think that's going to be critical. If we just let Nico stand back all day and have all day to throw and let us pick us apart, that's not good. We got to get more pressure.
And is there any truth that you're going to send half the team by train to Los Angeles?
No. They were very. That was very democratic, I guess. So everyone got a chance to fly.
It's the first time. You got to let them all experience it. I'm sure the head coach was on the flight both ways.
So, no, we're flying both ways. Flying into LAX, I learned this because I wanted to fly into Burbank, but Burbank has a noise thing. Like you can't fly out of Burbank at whenever we're flying out, it'll be 2 a.m. or something. So you can't fly out really late out of Burbank. So we got to go to LAX both ways.
Coach, what are the challenges defensively game planning against a quarterback that is a dual threat quarterback compared to just a pure pocket passer?
Yeah, they do a good job. And their coordinator, Sinceri was at Indiana. They did a good job at Indiana. You're always giving up something with whatever you want to do. Obviously, if you get an extra guy in the box, you're giving him more one-on-ones on the perimeter. If you're playing too high all day, then you're a little bit more susceptible to quarterback run, having guys down there. So I think we got to mix it up. I think we got to give him different looks and not let them have situations where they know what they're going to get to take advantage of it. I think their running backs are good. Berger's a big back. Anthony Woods, we coached him at Idaho. He was our starter in 22 and 23 at Idaho. He's a good player. They had some receivers with speed. Seven, Mikey Matthews can really run. So they got a number of weapons we got to handle.
And just talk about the importance of protecting Jack. Obviously, you had more all rushing touchdowns last game. The passing game, I think, is you probably wanted to catch up to the rushing game. So what is just the importance of protecting Jack going forward?
Yeah, I thought we did a better job. I think there was probably 3 plays during the game where we really had poor protection. 2 of them ended up being sacks in the 2-minute drill, and that's just getting better. When they know we're gonna throw it, in those type of situations. And that was really, I guess we kind of had some 2-minute drills at the end of Michigan, but it was a little different. Those were end of the game, and they had some subs in and things. But and then there was another one we completed to Keegan that we didn't have very good protection on. But I thought our protection overall was better. The first third down of the game, Jack had a scramble because it was well covered, but we protected well. I thought the 3rd and 10 at the end of the game where we found Zael, we gave him a lot of time to protect. So I think we made progress there, but we got to. We're not a finished product. We got to keep getting better every week throughout the season, up front as O-line and gelling together. We got one, starter who was here last year, so that is a position that takes a lot of time to gel. And like one of the sacks we gave up last time was like, a 3-man rush and not understanding like where your help is. Like you want to make sure if we're getting a 3-man rush at the end of the half, you want to use your help. So there's a guy freed up next to you. You don't want to get beat away from your help. If you lose the guy, you want to lose him inside where your help is. And sometimes it could be your help is outside. You got to know where that is. So that's, some nuanced things that I think you can correct. It wasn't necessarily just, we're not athletic enough or good enough. Some of it's understanding.
So I know you, especially after Michigan, wanted to establish the run. I heard your pregame with Robert talking about Idaho State had allowed 300 yards each time. I'm curious if 40 to 21, if a 2-to-1 run to pass ratio is the right number, or were you guys a little more committed to getting that run game going since Michigan, it really didn't get going?
Yeah, I think I don't know if it was all because of Michigan. I think a lot of it was because they had showed some susceptibility, to it as well. So you're always trying to craft a game plan, Jeff, that fits the best way to win this game. So I don't think it's always going to be 2/3 run, but we thought that was the best recipe for that game.
We talked about it a week ago. After Michigan, Jack's health after that game, you didn't want him to get hit. Did he get out of this game pretty much unscathed? In your mind?
A much better shape. I mean, even I kind of laughed. Even like on one of the sacks, like he got tackled, but he took a knee. Like he didn't even go down all the way to the turf. So it was a little different than number 1 from Michigan, running right through your head. So I think, he definitely came out of this game and looked a lot better Sunday, Monday than he did after the Michigan game.
Can you just talk about how you guys are handling the short week? I mean, is it something that you really feel?
Yeah, we just tweak our schedule a little bit. We brought the guys in on Sunday. Usually Sundays are off day. And then on Monday we have, film and meetings and a short walkthrough. So we moved that up to Sunday. And then we're only gonna have one practice in shoulder pads this week. So we're trying to take back the physicality, make sure we get our legs back. We didn't do any good versus good yesterday. Today will be the only day where we do our one offense versus one defense. And that's only about 15 minutes that we'll do that. But I think that's important that you get some speed of the game. But on a week like this where you have a little shorter recovery, you really want to make sure you're getting your legs back. So we just moved our schedule up a day. We'll have our normal, today really is more of our normal Wednesday practice. Tomorrow will be more of our normal Thursday practice. Thursday will be our normal Friday practice. And then we'll have, Saturday will be our off day for next week.
Damon kind of got, majority of the snaps or reps at kick returner, I should say. Is Abraham still kind of in that window, or?
Here's what it is. We're just playing Abe and Damon. They're both back there. They're left and right. So the week before, they kicked it, deep to the kicking team's deep left. This week they kicked it to the deep right. So that's they're both back there, and we kind of want to set it up that way. Because I have both of the guys ready to return. I've been some places where you really have one guy who's a true returner and the other one you really don't want to return it. You want him to be the lead blocker. Well, if teams figure that out, they're always trying to kick it away from your good guy and kick it to the other guy. I think it's better to have two guys who can return it, and that was great. That's our best kickoff return we had all year with Bankston. So I think that puts other teams in a little bit more of a quandary. You can't necessarily kick it away from our kickoff returner. We have two guys who are good back there.
Saturday, you mentioned kind of just the desire and kind of the need at this point to start getting more explosives, out of the receivers in particular. How are you guys kind of approaching that and trying to remedy that at this point?
Yeah, you know what? And, we can't force it. We got to keep, trying to just find schematic ways to do it. But, we also got to be creative. We were able to have 3 explosive pass plays in the passing game, with Bankston's big wheel route, and then DT had 2 20-plus catches. So, I think we also, have to be a little unorthodox sometimes and get them there. But, I think that's a work in progress. Buckley did give us a couple explosives in the first game, so hopefully we can get back to that a little bit as it goes on. I thought Idaho State really did a good job. They were definitely committed to keeping like safeties back and playing a lot of cover 2. You saw it a lot. They were really sinking guys out of there and kind of giving us more short, check down stuff. Even a couple of the, scores late, we were able to, DT's kind of 2 big plays late. One was kind of like a little bit of a trick him, big personnel to get him in man. The other time we traded him, we started on balance and traded him over, so it got him one-on-one on a safety, and we kind of were, messing around with the formation to try to get him more into man coverage. But when we were in 3 wides, they were really playing a lot of, 2 high safeties, very deep, forcing us to, check down. And Jack did a good job being patient. Like we had the one, I think it was like a 3rd and 11, and he checked it down to DJ, and DJ gets 7, so he got us to 4th and 4 where we could go for it on 4th down. He almost broke the tackle and got a first. So Jack was patient, not forcing it into that deep coverage. And, same thing happened on the scramble where he scrambled for the touchdown. That was a great play. They were sinking everybody out of there and deep. So, we can't necessarily – you don't want to try to force a big play out of nowhere to the receivers and end up turning the ball over.
And I know offense is what the defense gives you and all that too. Do you feel like a part of that could be, because I think Buckley's the only guy that made it through all of camp without an injury in terms of receiver core. Do you feel part of it is just guys missing time and settling in with Jack, or any element to that?
Yeah, I think part of it's probably some injuries we've had. KD hasn't been able to play, yet this year. And, we got to keep improving. We got to keep improving our technique and keep putting those guys in the best situations.
You mentioned the 2-minute drill with Jack taking those 2 sacks at the end of the first half and all that. Some not similar situations in some respects, but some issues kind of getting into halftime over the first 2 games. Is that something you guys are looking at and saying, we just got to be cleaner no matter what, or do you just kind of not care in the flow of the game?
Yeah, we got to be better in 2-minute situations. This week, in a condensed week, we had to give up something. I did feel like we got some reps in 2-minute this week, so like we're not going to rep 2-minute today like we normally would do on a Wednesday practice. We're going to do some more 3rd downs. I think 3rd down is probably a bigger issue, and we got to get better on 3rd down on defense, get off the field better. So that's something we're going to emphasize today at practice. But no, we do need to be better in 2-minute situations. But part of it, I think 3rd down kind of trumps it because we've given up. The end of both halves, we've given up a big 3rd and long conversion that's led to them going down and scoring a touchdown before half on defense. So, really, we got to do a better job. We get a team 3rd and 10 plus, we got to get off the field.
And you mentioned explosive passing plays, but you also had an explosive running play last game. Just talk about how Scott Trey's performance, not just last game, but just so far this season. Is he everything that you expected him to be?
He's playing well. I mean, I knew he was a very good player from playing against him and recruiting him, and he's lived up to billing. I think that play was the 61-yard run was blocked up very well. I mean, he was untouched on that. So the O-line, they were kind of trying to do a little blitz into it. The O-line really did a nice job covering up and got him, really just ran away from the safety. He really didn't have to make him miss. But that was a well blocked up play. But Scott Trey's playing well. I mean, really probably the favorite play of the day. He had the 4th and 1, which we got, by inches. But that was a great run because on initial contact, he did not have the first down. I mean, that was not blocked up all the way. And, he probably got hit a half yard behind the line and pushed through to, pick up, 2 yards after contact, or not, maybe not 2 yards, 2 feet after contact to get the first down. And that was a huge play.
And my final question, just you mentioned it earlier, you're gonna have a lot of eyes on you on Friday. I mean, how big of an opportunity is this? You playing at the Rose Bowl, Big Ten Network, and a Friday night game for the Lobos?
Huge. I mean, just you think of all the great players who played in that stadium. I always think there's a lot of everyone who's playing on Saturday in college football is staying at a hotel Friday night, watching football before they go to bed. All the players, all the coaches. I'm not sure if there's another Mountain West game that night on Friday, but I'm sure all the Mountain West coaches are going to be watching that game. So, there's a lot of eyes on you. So, you want to play well. You want to hopefully send a message the way you compete and things that, you're proud of as a player, as a coach, and a lot of eyes are on that, especially football people are watching that.
Coach Eck, I asked Jack yesterday about the 2-point conversion, and he just laughed. And I wanted your thoughts on that play and what you saw as it unfolded, and then when he made the decision to flip it. And I don't have any idea how DT caught it.
Yeah, that was very improvisational, and that play, a lot of our 2-point plays are kind of unique plays. Like that's probably not a play we're going to run again this year, so it's not one that you want to, that was not like something we corrected or spent a lot of time with yesterday, because you kind of shoot your wad with that play for the year and you might not use it again. So, I think that's one of those ones, just, two guys making a play, out in space. And we tell him on that, if you can run it, it's better to run it. Why risk throwing it? And I think he thought he could run it and then realized at the end he was going to get caught at the pylon, and he flipped it up. And, DT doesn't see the ball thrown. I mean, it's great reflexes by him, because I don't think he realized he's blocking for him, and then all of a sudden he sees the ball in the air, and he's got great hand-eye coordination and snags it. So two guys making a play, and again, those are huge plays in the game, because that changes the whole complexity. And really it was our defense stopping the 2-point conversion. Abe had good coverage in the fade, so them missing their 2-point conversion and ours getting it, really changed the complexion of the game.
So social media team did a really good job of this, but the post game, I know it's time to move on from the win, but it was your first win. I don't think anyone's asked you, I don't know if before the cameras were rolling, if maybe you did a little victory dance, but somebody last week mentioned, a source that I won't name, mentioned that maybe your dancing isn't as good as you think it is.
My wife's kind of a critic sometimes.
And I want to give you the opportunity to defend yourself. How is your dancing?
I'm a very good dancer, but I don't think that win was, you got to have a big win to dance in the locker room. So that one, the players danced after that one, but that's not one that's going to get Coach Eck to win, beating an FCS team at home. This one this week, maybe. So we'll see.
Hey, Coach, they've lost to LSU, Fresno. Their coach is under fire. What kind of game do you expect them to come out with? I mean, this coach is desperate for a win.
No, we're going to see their best now. I mean, they're kind of a wounded animal. They did not play very well against Utah. They built a big deficit against UNLV, who UNLV is a good team. But again, another example, just every week in college football is different. But they battled back in UNLV. They had a chance at the end to come back. So they certainly are not a team that's folding their tent up. They could have, because I think they were down 30-10 in that UNLV game, and they came back and got it to 30-23 and had the ball driving. So I expect their best. I think they're going to sense a little bit of must-win desperation. We're coaching for our jobs. We're playing for it. So we're going to get their best shot. And they're back at home after having to play on the road. I mean, that's bad scheduling. If I was coaching at UCLA, I wouldn't want to play a group of 5 team on the road. That's bad scheduling by them to go play a group of 5 team on the road. Not many teams in the Power 4 do that. But, they don't. It's tougher for them because they don't draw 110,000 like Michigan. So, it's not as much of a moneymaker to pay people to come there. But, I expect their best shot. I don't think they're going to, come in feeling sorry for themselves. I mean, there's a lot of football left to play. They got 10 games left. I don't think they're packing it in. I don't expect them to.
It feels like starting fast could be like a key for like literally any game, but they've really kind of struggled to get it going offensively in first halves in particular. Is that a point that you're kind of emphasizing the team this week?
You know what? I did bring up that I think when you're dealing with a team who's had some adversity, you want to try to give them more, not try to build their confidence and things like that. So I do think that would be, not our only avenue to win the game, but I think that'd be a helpful avenue to build a lead on these guys.
Agu is back. Is he a guy that you're going to just ease in, or you expect him to maybe play a little bit this week?
We'll see. We'll see how he comes along. I mean, yesterday we really didn't have much contact at practice. We'll see how he looks today with a little more contact, and he's eligible to play as long as he doesn't miss a practice this week. There's a 7-day acclimatization period that you have to, play before you can play in a game, and he got in town just enough time to start that for this game. So we'll see how he looks, and definitely if he's ready, we'll certainly use him.
No Silman on Saturday. Is he banged up, or what's going on with him?
Just ankles bothering him a little bit. So he's he played. He came in and it was great. Huge play in the game. He came in on he was the backup center in the game. We didn't rotate him in, but he was the backup center and Caden Robinette's shoe fell off on the drive where we hit Zael. So he was in for that 3rd and 10 play. It's a huge play in the game. And I thought we had good protection on that. Quarterback had a long time, then scrambled outside and found Zael on 3rd and 10 for 12 yards. So he was in for a huge play in the football game.
Broadcast copy showed Keyshawn at one point. He was kind of frustrated on the sidelines. What was that about?
Well, I think you play a team like that. They do a good job getting the ball out. They do a good job. I think we got some pressure. Keyshawn got a lot of pressure, but you can't always close and get to sacks and things. So that can be frustrating for guys. But good learning moment. Just keeping your composure and focusing on the next play.
His dad played at Idaho State. He wanted to beat him. All right, we good?
Thanks, fellas.